going to turn it over to you to introduce her and what's happened so far.
Yes, so good afternoon as it is here in the UK. Good afternoon to you all. My name is Bridget Warburton. I am based today down in Worcestershire, which is in the central part of the UK. Honestly, it gives me great pleasure to introduce this next person to you. Dr. Katie. We met at toddler group. Our children were tiny. We were in the village hall Wednesday mornings, every Wednesday mornings, drinking tea and watching our children play. And Katie reached out to me back in November and asked, well, said she was looking for a new moisturizer. And we met in a coffee shop in our town in Knutsford. And after showing her the moisturizers, I just said, there is a business opportunity here. And it was a really exciting conversation, actually, which we carried on, outside the supermarket. And Katie, the first thing Katie said was, I need to look at the science. So she did, and opened her account I think just before Christmas, bought some collagen, and then started building the business in January. But I will pass you over to Katie now. Yeah, I just want to say that this lady is an absolute bundle of energy. She is so inspiring to work alongside, and she brings just so much enthusiasm and warmth to everything she does. And we've had so much fun in the last 7 weeks. So yeah, over to you, Katie.
And Dr. Katie, I'd love to hear. I forgot that you got introduced first through a moisturizer and that you guys
Yes.
had that personal connection going all the way back to your toddlers. So this is fascinating because people like to know, how did someone like you get introduced? But I'd love to have people just hear briefly a little bit of your background, and then what was the shift that got you excited about partnering here? And then I'll ask you a couple more questions.
Okay, well, hello everybody, and I'm absolutely delighted to be asked by Dr. Ben to talk to you all. So we're lovely and sunny, which is unusual for February in the UK. We're this afternoon, and obviously it's morning with you. Yeah, I just had the most amazing time. I reached out to Bridget because I'd seen her on social media, and we kind of kept in touch over the years. I knew she was back from Switzerland, and I just fancied trying a different moisturizer. And yeah, that one meeting, and then she suggested about the business, and it was just the right time in my life. I trained as a doctor in Manchester, and then became a surgeon specializing in ear, nose and throat surgery, and then even more specialized with children. And then I also got involved with a biotech company, injecting dermal fibroblasts, which is a type of cell, into the skin, mainly for burns patients, but also for children with epidermolysis bullosa, which is a condition that actually New Skin have supported their charity. And that was doing phase 2 and phase 3 medical trials. This is early on trials for people who aren't medical. And this also has a cosmetic application, of which we did some work down in Harley Street in London, because it was a sort of experimental work. And then that moved to America with the company. And I sort of brought up children, and then sort of after sort of 7 years, and introduced to Bridget. And I said to her, I just need to look at the medical papers, the science behind the collagen, in particular the omega-3, and looking at the product with the Life Pack. Yeah, and the science sort of supported, especially the collagen, was very supportive. And I said to Bridget, no, I'm really interested. And working with Bridget has been an absolute pleasure and a dream. She has been so supportive. I have learned a tremendous amount. And
Let
I
me
think
ask you this, and I just want to highlight for people. So this is one of the things we want to anchor is when you have someone, look, how many of you are impressed by Dr. Katie's science and clinical background? I mean, it's way beyond the majority of us. And yet, when she looked at the science behind the collagen, she was impressed. So it's just to help us anchor, okay, someone with her background that looks at the science is there. All right. And if someone isn't open, then that's okay. But you can have that confidence. And then second is that, we don't have to be a doctor to find a doctor. They connected through their kids years ago, and then they've stayed in touch as friends. And you'll find that again and again, in addition to having this elite background, Dr. Katie is also a human being, okay? A wife, a mother, and so relating on that level and always remember that as you're connecting with people. So, Dr. Katie, we'd love to hear just were there any, so you have, as Bridget mentioned, you've created collagen subscriptions, you just became a new brand rep, and in the midst of even having a personal being in the hospital for a week of that, so something kept you focused and passionate and moving forward. Any highlight of, was there a key shift or was it just consistently moving forward? And any highlight that you'd like to give if you were encouraging someone who was starting like you were 7 weeks before on their journey toward brand rep?
I think the highlight for me was just talking to one of our physios and personal trainers in the gym that I go to. And I've never met her. I've seen her around, and I just approached her and just said, are you interested in learning about this? And then through her, there's another PT at that gym. Both of those are going to hopefully give us some great introductions, especially Steve, who's the other PT. He teaches, 140 people Pilates each week, and then he's introduced us to his Pilates lady that owns the studio. So the whole networking, just by a one-off conversation. And even yesterday, I met another physio, and she's very keen. We're meeting with her on Tuesday. So, and I would just, I'm not a big social media person in the UK. We probably don't need to be the same way you do in America. And a lot of the business I've got so far, and also the very exciting people that want to work with us, has all been face to face, just talking to people and people you don't necessarily know. Bridget and I always say we're a good double act. We've done quite a lot of walk-ins. Bridget's very good on the business side, which I'm learning, and the skincare. Obviously, I'm very confident to talk about all the nutritional side and the collagen. And the other thing I would just like to say is the independent trials that New Skin do on all their products. You look at other companies and they just don't have that science background. All randomized trials, with independent dermatologists and nutritionalists. That was the other thing that really blew me away about the company.
Beautiful. And you're really enjoying opening up those conversations. So great example of getting into conversation with people who already are in that wellness conversation. So thanks for sharing. Congratulations on your progress, Dr. Katie. And we look forward to continuing to hear all the impact that you're having as you grow. And thank you, Bridget, for introducing us to Dr. Katie.
Yeah, my pleasure.